And I saw general manager job at Papa John's, and I said, you know what, I'm going to see if I can get in there. I was like a naive young kid.
What year is it now?
Oh, it's got to be like maybe 98, 99,
Okay.
2000, right
Gotcha.
around
So
there.
this is right around Papa John's when they're really starting to emerge.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
And they had 4 stores here in Pittsburgh, and the franchise group also had another 11 stores in Ohio.
Okay.
So, I get the job, and as soon as I start the job there, I find out that, when he interviewed me, he said, hey, do you think you're going to be able to run this store? And I interviewed great, and I was like, yeah, I'm really hungry. I want this job, blah, blah, blah. And I asked the best question I think you can ever ask in an interview.
What's that question?
Okay, so at the very end, when they say, do you have any more questions? You say, yes, I do. Is there any reason you wouldn't hire me?
Oh.
And they said, yeah, there is a reason we wouldn't hire you. We have a very young staff here, and you're 22, and the last guy couldn't control them. We're not sure you're going to be able to control, all these young kids.
Yeah, it's hard to lead peers, right?
Right. And I was able to say, hey, look, I have 2 kids at home. I may look young and be young, but, I'm on a career focus, and I want this more than anything.
Awesome.
And he was like, you know what, you're hired right there on the spot. So, like, I've used that question many times for getting a job.
I love it. It shows you care, right? It
Yeah.
shows that you're not just there going through the motions.
Right. And it also gives you a chance to rebut anything that they may be thinking. Because as soon as you leave, you can't tell them that, hey, I can lead that, or, there was we'll get to the next time I use that question in a little bit. But, yeah.
But I feel like this at Papa John's, because I did read your book. I went through it during the 10-hour ride here, actually. I was going through it. And it seems like Papa John's is really where you grew as a professional. It's really where you started to take it to the next level. So how did you transform during this time? What were the biggest lessons, the biggest ways you evolved as a professional at Papa John's?
Okay, so we would go to these meetings, right? And they would be in Ohio. So you'd hop in a car with these three other general managers of Pittsburgh. I was this 22-year-old kid. They were, 30, 40, and 50, say, right? And I still talk to all 3 of these guys today.
Okay.
15, 20 years later. Like, they're great friends of mine.
Love it.
So we would go travel out there every month. You go out there, you sit there, and they'd be like, the guy would stand up to franchisee, and he'd say, hey, Art in Youngstown's up 10%. Everybody clap for Art. Oh, great. Next meeting, you go out there, and they'd say, Jay and Ashtabula is up 12%. Everybody clap for Jay. Okay, great. And we had a supervisor who was just in Pittsburgh. We were like the stepchild, so to speak, because there's 11 stores that all kick ass in Ohio, and here we are in Pittsburgh that were kind of like stores. The University of Pittsburgh store did well. All the other ones were like a struggling market because you had 4 Papa John's and you had 110 pizza outlets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was what it was. But you couldn't tell those guys that. So anyway, I had a supervisor there, and he was pretty rough on me, and he would, tell the other guys, oh, he's going to fire Nick because, the ovens aren't clean enough or the baseboards are dirty, blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, I'm working like 89 hours a week in this restaurant, like just trying to kick ass, just trying to like prove myself. And it dawned on me. I was like, you know what? If I can go out to these meetings and be the guy that everybody's clapping for, like sales fixes everything. And then I read Guerilla Marketing by Jay Levinstein, front to cover, and went back to the next meeting. They said, hey, everybody clap for Nick. He's up 10%. Go back to the next meeting after that. Hey, Nick's up 20%. Everybody clap for Nick. Nice. Go to the next meeting. Hey, Nick's up 42%. Nick, tell everybody what you're doing.
When you say up like 10, 20, is this from each previous meeting or from the beginning?
So this would be year over sales.
Okay.
That's how they did everything, was over last year.
Gotcha.
So, we went from like 10% over last year to 20% over last
year. If you're
year.
like 70% up from the original meeting, that'd be crazy. But you're up 40 from the previous year, which is still amazing. So when they asked you to teach the team what you were doing, what were you doing?
What we were doing at that point was we were, I read the book, and it basically was talking about like going after big customers. You can try and market to like all these like little guys, but you also like, if you figure out who you want to sell the most pizzas to, and then rather than trying to sell 1 pizza, try and sell 10 pizzas. So we were going to, the swim club and selling, I set up contracts to sell pizzas at the swim club. Then we would go to the concession stands at little leagues and concession stands at football games, and we were now selling in the concession stands. And then we also were hooking up different places where there may have been like bingo night at the fire department. I was going saying, hey, can we sell you pizzas for, the fire department? And then what I really did that kind of was like the real kick-ass thing was I got 3 delivery drivers. They showed up every single morning at 10 a.m. I made them each 30 pizzas, so 90 total, that nobody ordered, right? So nobody ordered them, and I would give them to them and say, go out and sell these pizzas. You sell them for 6, you give me 5. So, if you take 5 times 30, so how much money's coming back, they would go out and sell them. And then basically from what we did there is, or 5 times 90, so we have $450 coming in that weren't even sold on the sales. So they would go to Walmart's, big box stores, Pep Boys, all the different construction sites. And I said, hey, look, at the end of the week, if it was the same 3 drivers, said, if you do this 5 days in a row, I'll give you a steak dinner. So I call Outback and be like, hey, trade me, 3 steak dinners, and I'll send you up 10 pizzas,
Nice.
something like that. So then every week they come in, they'd sell their 450 pizzas, and then, or they'd sell their 90 pizzas a day, 90 times 5. I'd have one guy come back in the afternoon, and he'd go from 5 to 7 and sell another. So we were basically selling $500 worth of pizza 5 times a week, so $2,500 worth of pizza that nobody ever called and ordered for.
Yeah, and I mean that is like guerrilla marketing to the T. But I love it because beyond that, like you're not just initially when you're going to the pool, when you're going to the baseball games, you're going to the fire station. They're not expecting you to be there, but what you're doing is you're establishing a relationship. You're not just selling those 5 pizzas or those 7 pizzas. You're establishing a relationship and being a person of value. You're providing value. You're here. They're probably getting a discount. Right?
Sure.
Like
Yep.
huge discount. So you're providing value, and more importantly, you're beginning that relationship, right? And they would go back another time, right? So now it's 1, 2, 3 times they're back. Now this person there's a name tied to the restaurant, right? That's Johnny from Calente's, like, or wherever, Papa John's. So I think that's like the really cool thing is like you're putting the ball in motion. You're developing that momentum, and you're getting the relationship going. And like at the end of the day, business is all about relationships, right?
Absolutely. And I think that's exactly what happened there is, we built that up. We got embedded in the community. And you think about it, too. Somebody that tries your pizza at a baseball game, they may only have 1 slice, but then they go home like, wow, this really good slice. We should order from them. And then you end up getting a new customer.
Yeah. So how much of a hit did you take with all this? Because you weren't selling. Were you breaking even just to like cover your market to get the people out there? Or were you profiting?
Yeah, we profited there. Like, I think that's the other thing, too. So we're talking about like $19.99 if you're selling $5 14-inch pizzas.
Yeah.
But Papa John's was really big on, we have the best ingredients for the chain, so we should be sold at full price. Like, they were pretty big on that. But at the same time, it's hard to argue when you've got this young kid that's up 42% over the year before.
That's awesome.
And I think they're really focused on the sales there.